thinking about what God said, I thought, you know what, for real, all humans do go to hell by default, because if you die without Christ, you go to hell. You go to a place of damnation. Simple as that. And I ain't gonna lie to you. We hear a lot of things about Christ is good, and which he is. Christ is awesome, full of grace and truth, beautiful, loves everybody. That's right. We see that God is also a judge. He's a perfect judge, and he judges sin. And all humans were born into sin, liable to go to hell. Simple as that, by default, unless you give your life to Christ. So anyway, as I was laying there thinking about these scriptures in my head, I started hearing people screaming. And I thought, oh no, here we go. I heard, out of all these voices, I heard one man, and he was saying this. He was saying, stupid, 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 stupid. Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I listen? And I thought, wow, man, that's too deep. And then I heard another man say, why didn't I listen? I should have went. I should have listened. I should have went. I should have listened. I should have went. That's what the other guy was saying. Then I heard a woman, she was praying, saying, Lord, forgive me. Lord, please forgive me. Lord, please forgive me. Give me another chance. But this woman, I started to see this woman. This woman was on fire as she was praying that prayer. She was on fire. Then straight after that, I ended up in the same place where I ended up the last time in my last vision that God gave me a year and a half ago of hell. And I was in that same place, a cavern. And on this video here, obviously I've got some pictures to try and give you a little slideshow, so to speak, to give you like an idea of what I saw. They're quite, some of the pictures probably, just to give you some sort of idea of what I was seeing. Anyway, I was back in this cavern again, and obviously this cavern had lava coming down. It was a cavern, had lava coming down the middle, and there was people in it burning. Then, as I was coming into this cavern, I went on to the top of the cavern, because I know that the two sides go like that, then like that. Yeah, and the lava's in the middle here. I was on the top of the cavern. I was up here. So as I was there, I saw people on their knees praying, and they were on fire. They were praying and their bodies were on fire. Yeah, they were on fire. They were praying, asking God to forgive them and to let them out. But this is the thing. As they was praying, their prayers were going up. Then it was hitting like an invisible ceiling, and it was coming back down again. And I saw that. I felt God say to me that in hell, your prayers are not heard. You can pray all day long, makes no difference. Your prayers don't go nowhere. When you're on the earth, when we pray, our prayers go up to heaven and God receives them. When you're in hell, God don't receive your prayers when you're down there. That's it. It's all over. Your prayers hit a visible ceiling and they come back down again. They don't go. Your prayers don't ascend into heaven from hell. That's it. Anyway, as I was standing there watching these people on fire and praying while they're on fire, I looked up and I saw a whirlpool, a whirlpool. In the air. It was black. It was because the whole sky was dark. It was very dark in there, There was a whirlpool spinning around, and as I was looking at this whirlpool, I saw people falling out of it, out of this whirlpool, and some of them were falling into the lava. And as I was looking around, it's like a lot. I saw for miles around a big dark wilderness. I saw for like hundreds of miles around. And as I was looking, I saw whirlpools in the distance spinning, and I saw people falling out of it. And I don't know what was over that side, but all I know is that it's not going to be nothing nice. If this is hell, it doesn't matter where you land, it's not going to be nice. And then God will show me that all the people that died without Christ, they're coming through this whirlpool and falling straight down into that place where I was, in hell. Simple as that. You know, people say that when they go to heaven, they see a bright light, and you know, when they walk up, it's all bright light. In hell, it's the other way around. It's black darkness. They're spinning around in the whirlpool and come flying out, and it's just they're in for a rude awakening. Trust me. Anyway, I then moved from that place and I went over to the cavern, looked at the cavern to my right, and as I was looking down, I saw the cavern walls and I saw holes dug out, and I saw prison bars, okay? And on these prison bars there weren't no door, and the cells were carved out into the wall, the same thing. And I saw a man sitting inside there on a chair. He looked, not a chair, like a wooden seat, and he had his hand in his head like this. And he's going, why am I here? Why am I here? How did I get here? Why am I here? And that's it. And it's like pure confusion coming from him. And he was just sitting on this stone rock, and he wasn't going. He was in his cell. The cell's got no doors, just bars from top to bottom, and he weren't going nowhere. It's like a 5 by 5, 5 foot by 5 foot, or 4 foot by 4 foot square cell, carved out in the middle of the rock, which is overlooking like lava. Because when you look down, there's all lava there, and people are in it burning. Anyway, then beside that, I felt myself, it's like I was being taken into a corridor, a dark cave. And as I was going down this cave, I saw a short cell, about knee high, but it was very long, like about 6 foot long, but only up to my knee, so only about this big. I saw a man inside there laying down, and I saw these worms. They just appeared from nowhere, covered him, ate his flesh off, went back into the ground again, and he was a skeleton. Then the flesh came back on the skeleton again, then the worms appeared again, ate off his flesh and disappeared again. And it kept on going over and over and over again. And I thought, no man, this is too much.
When we get there, I see a young man, and it's like I could tell he's just entering hell. And he looked clean cut, all American. He looked like a wonderful young man, a nice kid. Anyone you would see and you would think, oh, what a nice kid. So just a really clean cut looking kid. And I was like, wow, thinking, what's he doing here? He looked like such a good kid. And as soon as he got there, this being, this creature, which is like kind of half beast, half man, it just comes over and it just snatches his ankles, and his feet come from under him, and his back of his head hits the floor, and he drags him off down into this tunnel. He was taking him to some like a little pit or a prison area. And then I heard his thoughts. The first thing he thought was, he said, oh no, he said, I'm responsible for a lot of my friends coming to this place. Like all of a sudden he had a realization of what he had done, the type of life he had lived. And there's no hope, there's no love, there's no joy, there's none of those things. All of that's associated with the Lord, and the Lord is not, his presence is not in hell. And so there's nothing left. The only type of experience they have now is to inflict pain on someone else. And that's the only way they can feel really any type of pleasure, is by giving pain. And they're really good at it. They've been doing it a long time, and they're highly intelligent. And so it's like they have their own personal human or somebody to just torture. And that's what will be happening until everybody in hell gets thrown into the lake of fire. And there is no way out. And so that is all that I saw. And then before we left, Jesus said this. He said, and this is not the depths. So what I saw, the part I was in, that was just like the entry level into hell. Like when somebody first got there, he said, this is not the depths, which means it's way, way worse than what I saw. And what I saw was horrible. Pray for the people that are around you, that their ears would be open, that their eyes would see, that their heart would be softened, so that they could hear the message of salvation and receive the Lord. Because after seeing hell, I wouldn't want anyone to go there, even not the worst criminal in history, because it's permanent. After a while, you would think, well, that's enough. Maybe let them out for a little while or give them a break. There is no break to the torture. There's no break in the fear. That's all it will ever be. And so we need to pray for ourselves and for our loved ones, and we need to live an obedient lifestyle so we do not go to hell.
But immediately she thought she was in heaven, because there was a grandmother waiting there welcoming her. The grandmother that was actually a demon that gave the illusion of being the grandmother said, "Dear Pudding, you made it to heaven. I'm so glad you're here." And she really thought that she was in paradise. But there was a darker side to her. She would make her children be what she wanted. Her children wanted something else. She wanted them to be this. And if they didn't do it her way, it was the fist. It was verbal abuse. It was cutting down. So as she sat down, I was watching it, and the tree's limbs just grabbed her. And then she realized she was not in paradise. And as we passed some cubes, there were people inside, and they were trapped in flames. And it was like their skin was still intact, but they were burning. And there was an individual, and he was playing pool. And this guy was a child serial killer, but he lived in the 1940s. But he was in this pool hall playing this pool before the punishments would commence again. He thought he had a break. And then these people in there would torment him and come and run and just grab him and tear him up. And out of the sky, I could see this big demon coming down. It reminds me of a snake. He just gobbled him and swallowed him. Then all the other little demons came up and said, that's no fair. We didn't have our chance with him yet. Regurgitated him back up. He was whole. I know this sounds really bizarre, but that's what happened. Then all the other little demons, little teeny things, about 3 foot tall, just jumped on him. And he was powerless. And they were beating and clawing him. And there was no rest for this guy whatsoever after that. It was constant torment. Everything that he ever done was being justly put back to him. Came to a cube, and I was looking at this, and this was a woman. She was dressed in fine garb. She was a temple prostitute, basically what it was. And she was somebody who died in Corinth around 69 AD. For a price, she would have a newborn son. For some reason, their religion was some strange thing. When you have a newborn son, you can offer it into a statue, and there's flames underneath the statue. You put the baby on the statue, and basically the baby would be cooked. And here she is in this temple. There was no let up to her torment. It was almost like all the little babies that she burned that were hers and other people's were tormenting her, mocking her, pouncing on her, just crawling and tearing her up. And she just screamed, and I had to turn away and walk. There was an individual that she practiced the black dark craft. She was a witch. I just knew that she was a witch, but she died many hundreds of years ago. But she was trapped in a coffin, scratching, trying to get out. She couldn't get out. She was in that position for years and years and years and years, hundreds of years. And then finally, when she got it open, all the demons would pounce on her. And I walked on to another cube. We looked in this other cube on this row, and there was another lady. And she believed that Mother Earth could save her. And then if she honored the trees and the rocks, and she was into this nature thing, and part of their religious practice that she would practice would be getting out in the fields and dancing around a fire with a bunch of other people doing the same. The people that she thought that she was with were actually demons, and they would come up to her and say, "You did this." They pick up a stone. You say, "The stone will save you here," and they smacked her with it. So she was standing there, and the demons reached down there and reached in her mouth, ripped out her tongue and part of her thing. Says, "You talk bad? Oh, the stones are not going to save you. Nobody can save you." Then they ripped off her, just actually took her skin and just peeled it off. It was really slow and agonizing to shreds. It had nothing to do with the skeletons. Then they took the bones and broke the bones. And she felt everything. Then her body would come back together. The flesh would come back together. And she'd be whole again, and it would start all over again. A different scene would happen. And some of the cruelest people on earth were in these. You know, some people, I don't like to say names of people or anything like that, but I will, you know, this one particular individual is definitely there, and everybody knows who it is. It's Adolf Hitler. Hitler was sitting in a cube. The cube was open, and it was just burning flames. He's just sitting there burning. And his flesh wasn't burning, and he had this hideous look on his face. And he was, as he was burning, the flesh would be rotting, and he was feeling every bit of it. It was almost like every oven of the gas, of the concentration camps, all the tortures that went on there were being meted back to him in one intense flaming bit of stoked up white hot heat.
One night walking with the Lord, and he said, "I'm going to show you the fun center in hell. It's like a Roman theater, and the devil is sitting up in his throne at the top of this big rock place." It was all rocks. And it was similar to a Roman theater where they used to torment the men, you know, and kill them, let the lions come out and eat them. Well, here was a Satan on his throne. He had a book out on a big, he was in a chair, and the book was on like a throne, okay? And there was names on that. And then the demons had went through hell and picked out certain people and had them lined up. All you see skeletons, you know, and they were men and women. You could tell by their voices, and they were crying. And the Lord said, "This is horrible, but I want you to tell the people of the world about it." The devil would throw his head back and roar and laugh. He said, "God has grace and mercy, why do not?" He said, "I have no mercy." And he said, "All those that were in line with you, I did the same to them. They used to be believers on the earth." And I thought about it, and I looked at the Lord. I said, "Lord, he is truly a deceiver and a master, a master." He said, "Yes, child, it says all through the book, he comes to kill, steal, and destroy." And he deceived these people that you see in line. And right at their vulnerable state, he killed them because they were encaged and snarled by him. And the devil began to laugh, and he said, tormentors, come and get him. Get him. What happened, this corpse was standing there, and each one would come and pull an arm off, pull the head off, the legs off, and the torso they had. So they would take that body where they pulled it apart, and they would scream. Every piece of that body would scream for the other part. And they would take it all over hell and bury it, laughing. After all this is done, then they scream so loud their screams are heard, and God has mercy and sends power and puts them all back together again. Now that's horrible.
Then each of the demons took my my ankles, and they put these bands around my ankles, and my legs were spread apart. So I had my arms spread apart and my legs spread apart. And I could hear the other demons. They were cheering them on. They were like, yeah, yeah, all right, you know, and they were clapping, and I was just looking at them. I couldn't feel the heat of hell. All I kept looking at was this creature coming towards me. So the two demons, after they got done hooking me up, they backed away from me. They didn't turn around and back away. They were looking at me, walking backwards. They got pleasure out of just looking at me, knowing that I was totally helpless, knowing that I could not get out of there. They knew that, and that gave them such pleasure. And as the fire of hell was roaring, glowing about me, I could see the outline, and it was a massive audience of all sorts of deformities of demons. And all I could see were their shadows. And I kept looking, and I wanted to scream for help, but I didn't even have the energy to do that because I knew I was doomed. I just knew I was doomed, and I was ready to accept my punishment. And out of the crowd came the third demon that was assigned to me. This demon was probably, I want to say, 10 to 12 feet high. Its skin was red. I remember that. I don't know why his skin was so red, but it was like blood red. He was muscular. He had like a six-pack. He had horns, but it came back like this. It wasn't up like this, but it was back of his head. And he had like black lips. He had these massive, like three big fingers, and they had claws that went like this at a curve. And he was coming towards me, and I remember just being there, and I was like, I couldn't even close my eyes. I couldn't even do that. And I didn't want to look, but I had to look. I was forced to look. And as he was coming towards me, he was cracking that whip at me. All of a sudden, he raised his hand, and when he did, I looked out into the audience, and they were just as happy as they could be. He whipped me, and he hit my leg, and that's when I woke up. And I was laying on my stomach from this nap, and I remember waking up and thinking, oh, it's just a dream. Oh my God, it's just a dream. Oh man, I was like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. I mean, just imagine a devil worshiper saying, thank you, God. Thank you, God. It was just a dream. It's just a dream, yes. But wait, I was laying there and I was like, my leg still hurts. There was actually a whip mark on my leg. And Lord, He says to me, if you continue to do what you're doing, that's where you're going to go. And I looked up and I said, forgive me. I don't want to go there. Forgive me, Lord.
Anything that you want to know in this place, all you have to do is ask it. Ask it in your mind or ask it out loud, and the answer will be given to you. It doesn't matter.
And you don't like logic and reason. That doesn't happen. You just know that you know. It's like having truth automatically all the time.
It's like the place had a kind of intelligence. You knew whatever you want to know about it. It was easy to understand. And first I understood it, I thought, this is death. This is the absolute absence of life. There's this curious feeling that I'm out of time. Time isn't there. There's a distinct feeling of its absence. It's like you wouldn't know whether 10,000 years had passed or a second, or there is no sense of that time is passing. It's like I felt this is eternity, and because I felt it was eternity, I kind of felt like I could be here and never get out, because there's no time to pass. There's no end to it. I just understood certain things, and what I understood as well was that everything that I'd ever done, good or bad, had absolutely no value. All the experience that I'd accrued through my trying to sort of become more spiritual, and that meant absolutely nothing. It had no value. All the art that I'd done, all my music, all my songwriting, all the writing. I mean, I was a prolific songwriter. I was written like hundreds and hundreds. It meant nothing. It had no value. It was like saying, these things have no value. These things do not make it good. These things do not get you out of that place. These things don't get you out of here. These things have not earned you anything out of this place. You know, you're in nothingness, and nothing you've done has kind of qualified you to get out of here. All the hard things I've been through. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to get bullied. I went through long periods of depression. I struggled with certain things in my life. I've overcome certain. It was like saying, means nothing, means nothing, means nothing. It's almost like, you know, maybe you'd been through the most heroic thing in a war, and you'd saved lots of lives, and you'd got a medal. It was like it's saying, means nothing, means nothing. Nothing that you've done means anything. And also, it was like, you know, a real sense that the whole direction of my life somehow had been in the wrong direction. It was just not for the right. I wasn't living for the right reasons. I wasn't very sure about what the right reasons were, but I had a feeling that being a good person, or being a better person, I wasn't looking in the right places. You know, it was not just a case of like, you know, not doing enough good things. It was an entirely different outlook which I hadn't found, and as a result of that, I'm here. I'm in hell, and you know, I've missed the point, and everything that I'm experiencing, everything I've done has got no meaning. All the work you've done towards, all that time you spent building that family home, all that time that you spent making it to the top of your career, all that time, all that trouble you went through, all the hardship you went through, all the incredible difficulties you've been through, the whole life you've lived sorrowful, beat upon, it means nothing. It means nothing. It means nothing. It has not established anything good in you or valuable, not to whoever was in control of this reality. And the next thought was, this is hell. There is a God. Because I just knew this place was the absolute absence of him. And I felt that God, this is what you have without him. But when you've got him, you've got all the other stuff, life and the good stuff. All the life seemed to be so. I realised life was such a gift. Life is such a gift. Life is a gift. I mean, it really is. When you walk down the street and look at the sea and stuff like that, you know, you're just borrowing it. You're gonna have to give it back. Back to the point. I thought there is a God. Now I'm in black. Remember, I'm in just complete black. Now, I've had all different kind of concepts about what God is. God's everything. God's in a table. God's in a chair. God's you. God's me. All that stuff. But what I understood in just blackness, never seen anything, never been told anything, just coming to conclusions, I thought, there is a God, and he's the one in the Bible. I just knew it was him. I knew that although we're also grown up now about how we look at spiritual maturity, you know, spirituality and stuff like that. You know, all this stuff, quantum physics and you know, particle observers, you know, observing subatomic particles and you know, all alternative universes, multiverse, wherever. But the God that made it all is the one in that, that black leather Bible. That guy, that's the one. I knew without any, the same way I was coming to these conclusions about eternity and about all this stuff about life and deep, we saying it's him, he's God. And it was a super shock to me, because I thought that, oh no, he's just one of the kind of more manifestations of truth in that part of the world, like the Judeo-Christian thing, or Judeo, I just thought, now it's saying, no, it's him, and everything else is trash. It's trash. Everything else is absolutely no value. It was really, really particular. So I'm kind of going, I'm not thinking these thoughts. These thoughts are coming to me. I'm surprised as anyone else would be.
Saying, oh, I'm here for eternity. I didn't have to say that to myself. Everyone had the knowledge that you could not get out. Or at least I'm going to say I did. I knew and I understood I could not get out. And not only that I couldn't get out, but that I was here forever. I understood that I am absent of time, and this place goes on forever. And I understood that. And I think it was a part of the fear. It was a part of the terror, that all this stuff that I have knowledge of, instantly I'm completely all knowing. I'm all knowing. I know it all. I know it. Even though I'm even questioning all the things that I know to be true. The same way we know I'm breathing air because oxygen goes to our lungs. We learn common things here, the natural laws on this earth. We know it. We just know it because we know it, either because even if it's not explained to you, you just know it to be that way. So it's the same exact way. I just knew that I was here forever. I was stuck here forever. I couldn't get out. And what was going on was being controlled. And that was the worst part about it. That was the worst part about the entire experience. That was the worst part. That nobody can interact with anybody else. Nobody. There's even comfort in being in an oppressive state. There's comfort. A good example. I'm being real. Me being a black person. It's comfort. There's still comfort to feeling like or knowing that, your struggle of what you go through to overcome, racial disparities or racial discrimination or biases, that I'm enduring it amongst a group. There's a certain level of comfort there and feeling, and in everybody's own heart. Or if you're in jail, even people in jail have a comfort that they're not the only ones in jail. Even if they're in solitude, they understand that there's other people here, and that this is something that others are enduring with them. You're not even given simple comforts like that. You don't even feel, it's not that you don't even care. It's not an element of that realm. You don't even feel a comfort. Comfort is absent. So there's no recognition of, look at how many people we're all going through it. Look at how many people are here. It's impossible. There can't be a party in hell, because even though when you're in hell, the only person that you believe that is going through something that you can feel and feel and go through is you. The only thing you can be, even if you're there with millions upon trillions of people, you feel as lonely as if you're the only one there. And that's hard to explain. You feel like you're the only one there. That's exactly what it was. Exactly. So absent comfort, absent no interaction. Everything that appears to be even slightly good is not there at all. So it's horrifying. And mind you, again, like I'm saying, it's not because I had the knowledge of all these things that I was horrified. Horror and terror was a part of the elements, the environment. It was a part of the environment. It was exactly, you could not even choose to be at a different level of fear if you even want to, because you don't even have the cognitive abilities to decide to yourself that I'm not going to be scared, or what's really going on. Let me figure out before I just, act frantic. There is the cognitive functions that we have here are completely absent. And that's what people need to understand, that there's no controlling of it. A lot of the things the very small things that you take for granted, that you have autonomy over, that you have autonomy in mind, you have autonomy in movement, you have autonomy in what you think and how you think and what happens and what's going to happen. All that stuff is literally, it's good. I now realize it's a good characteristic. It's a good thing that you have autonomy. It's a good thing. So imagine absent anything that's good. Imagine no interaction. Family, you can't even consider family. Your family, you're not even considering your family. At this, as far as you're concerned, you even understand the aspect of that even your familial ties that you consider to be family is somewhat minute. It doesn't really exist. Blood relations are just physical, but the spirit is enduring on its own. You won't even consider yourself to have brothers and sisters and those of loved ones. The only kindred you have is maybe those you have. I don't even know how anyone can even have the ability. For me, I didn't have an experience where I was able to have the ability to even think of loved ones. All I could endure and deal with was what was presently controlling me in that environment. And nothing else mattered. Nothing else mattered. Nothing else mattered. And so that's why I'm sharing this, because I feel like people need to hear this stuff. And I feel like I've been the person that I've seen tons of these near-death experiences, or at least people with near-death experiences, or have testimonies on the website or on YouTube talking about how they experience hell. And again, it's when somebody is explaining it to you, I already understand that, unless this is meant for you to hear it. If somebody's explaining it to you, it does not do it justice to what it really is and how it really feels. It doesn't. So the greatest impact, unless there's really grace and God has grace and mercy over your life for you to be able to really understand what somebody is saying, or for at least for what I'm saying and how I'm explaining it, because physically you're not able to even really touch that deep. So it would have to be a miracle for God to touch somebody's heart to come to an understanding of what it is I'm explaining. And so that's why I'm understand that. And so that's why I'm not doing this for people to believe me. I'm doing this because I am now fear of my own record. I'm in fear of going and ended up in that place. I'm in fear of answering up to my life and what I'm doing in my life, in every single aspect of it, every part of it, every single aspect of it. I'm in fear. I'm in fear of my own thoughts. I'm in fear. I'm in fear, let alone because if it causes me to end up in that place, I'm in fear. And even if I'm not supposed to be in fear, I still feel some of the terror and some of the things. It's only been 2 days, so I'm still pretty much dealing with the feelings of all of it, and the memory of it. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to share this, man, for somebody who maybe wanted to stumbled across this video and they're undecided and they're not sure. They don't really know, what's going on, or whether you believe in Christ or you don't. Hell is real. Hell is real. Whether you're an intellect or whether you're someone who has never attended school in your life, hell is real. And hell is not something that is based on belief. This is not belief. This is not your belief. This isn't what you believe. This isn't everybody has respective rights in what they believe in. This is what is true. This is what is really going to happen. What is really going to go on? What is really happening? What is true? What is true? This has nothing to do with belief. I don't care what your belief is. I don't care what your background is. Nobody is going to sway me or convince me about my experience to denote it to be any less real than you even trying to explain to me what you're talking about. I don't even consider half of what I see here to be real at all. It's all a facade. It's all a mirage. We're all just passing through. And literally, and the majority of us are being deceived. And the devil is deceiving us, and it's all deceptive to make us think that we actually have these abilities, and our autonomy can't be taken away, and this stuff can't be taken. That this life is really forever. Listen to me. There's no such thing as YOLO or living for the moment. You're gonna have all the time in the world to live for the moment, in terror, for the rest, for eternity. In terror, in fear, you'll be living for the moment. And because that moment is all you have. And nothing else will matter. Not one single thing you do here as a form of enjoyment will be even remembered for you to even say that at least you live the life that you live. The stuff we talk about all the time. What's the whole premise on wanting to live for the moment is that you only live once. Now imagine what if I told you only die once too? And then that's it. And then fate is decided. And if you can't understand eternity now, you will understand it then. And it's not up for discussion. It's not up for debate. I'm not looking for political talk. I'm not looking for schools of thought. I'm not looking for religious faiths and beliefs in the afterlife. I'm not looking for literature. I'm not looking for any of those things. The Word of God is the Word of God. The Word of God is the Word of God. And that's all. And in that place, all you will know and understand it is to be true. There's no debate. People are not debating down there. Nobody's debating. Nobody's trying to figure it out. Nobody's trying to debate amongst each other. I know that even if you're a devout Satanist and you believe that you follow him and Satan is you adhere to his principles and you believe in what Satan is doing and what the devil is doing and you like that way of thinking or whatever reason is why you chose him or you choose that path. You still won't want to be there. You still will not want to be there. You will not want to be even thinking of why you chose him. All you're going to want to do is beg for your life to get out of there. Everyone is trying to get out. Everyone is trying to get out. And nobody's concerned about the suffrage of anyone else, because what you're going through is so heightened. It's such at a high level of what you're dealing with alone that you probably couldn't even remember if you had a mom. You couldn't even remember if you had a life once before. How many brothers and sisters you have. These things are not even of concern. Who's your loved one? Where's your kids? None of that stuff. None of it matters. None of it. None of it. So I just wanted to, man, put that out there and let everybody hear this, because if you can't see that from my look, my expression, how it's coming from my heart, I have no reason to lie. I have no reason to do this. Nobody has any reason to just come out and say things just to say things. Neither does everybody can give an account for what they want to give an account for. But I know what was real. So at least for me, I want to make sure my record is clean, so that you can't say that I didn't say it. So that nobody can say, so that it's known, that everybody knows that Joe said it, that I said it. I want everybody to know that Joe said it, that I said it. That's how important it is to me not to be there. Yes, I said it. And I'm telling everybody, say what you want to say about me. I don't care. I said it. I said it. And I told you. So my hands are washed because I told you. I told you, because I'm now going to be accountable for how I'm going to live my life from this day forth. So, and that's, that's the most honest I can be with people. If I love you, then that's the most honest thing that I can do. And I could tell you, you can write it off. More than half of people maybe can write it off and live your life here. You can continue to live your life here. But like I said, it's everybody going to have their day. And that's not going to stop. That's the one thing that nobody can overrule or overrun. This also will at least be my eternal proof of record, of me letting people know that this was real, that hell is real. Hell is real. There's no such thing as coming close as Christians. If you even debate in your mind, if you got to even review your record to figure out whether or not you're going, you're already probably on the wrong side. Because I'm telling you right now, the decision is unanimous. We're not looking for majority vote. There's no board in heaven. There's not a majority vote as to who's going and whether you're going or not. There's no politicking. It's unanimous. Either the Lord knows you or he doesn't. Either you have a relationship with him or you don't. And what I mean by relationship, I'm not talking about past relationship. Now. Right now. You could even know God. You could have prayed to him and he answered your prayers. And that was your proof as to why you attained to this faith, that you believe that you believe in God. Or you've told other people about Jesus because of little experiences you had, whether you prayed or you were healed before, or you've always had a feeling, maybe you've even had his presence with you before, or you're even more of an active believer. You've had an ongoing relationship with him throughout your entire life. Maybe you grew up in a church, whatever it is. If you do not have the Spirit of the Lord in you, free from indwelling sin, you hear what I said, free from indwelling sin. At the moment that he comes, with the moment that you die, you'll find yourself in hell.
And the portal closed. And then he sent them so fast that the screams were late. I would hear, it was like, depart from me. And it closed up. Then the screams come, and it terrified me. And then out of nowhere, something snatched us up. Like we moved up the line. And I began to think, I didn't understand where we was. I'm like, oh my God, maybe this is judgment. Yeah, I had many questions, and I would hear, depart me, depart me, depart from me. And all these different people will be sent to hell. And the part that scared me the most was the people that were getting judged. You could hear when God was talking to them, and you could hear everything they got judged from. So if somebody went to hell for something that you struggled with in your life, you know where you were going. And so I'm just seeing people go, sit there, boo. But I'm seeing the flame, and it's just constantly burning everybody outside that haven't been judged yet. And I could hear some of the people talking to God, and I remember there was a woman, blonde hair, and God was talking to her. He said, I'm not judging you for what you put on Facebook, but I'm judging you on how everybody else received it. 300,000 people were led astray by one of her Facebook posts. And he said their blood was on her hands. And out of nowhere, he said, depart from me. And I'm talking about, I couldn't express how powerful his words were. It's as if he said, depart from me, and everything shook. Boom. And she was set with great force. And the portal opened up. Boom. She was going to fly. And it would close. And like, and the screams was so late, it terrified me. People, adultery, fornication, so many different things that I could actually hear. And people in front of me were terrified because a lot of those people were struggling or went through the same situation and they never repented. So 1,000, sent here. They would go, they were flying. They was flying so fast. I've never seen something so fast. And it got to the point where I was next in line, and he called me up, and he started talking to me. And keep in mind that our life held us hand to hand. So anything we did in our life testified against us. So you couldn't lie because your life testified. Say, yes, you did this at this time, yes, you did. And whenever God would speak to me, you would see a big screen, like you would see as if whatever God says, it comes to life. And so he started talking to me, and he started telling me everything that I could have did better. And at this point, I'm like, okay, God, I could do this better. I did it, I did okay with it, but I could have did better. So he began to say other things, and he brought up this specific woman. And he asked me, why didn't I forgive her? And he gave me her specific name. I'm not going to say it. He gave me her specific name. And I knew exactly what he was talking about. He asked me, why didn't I forgive her? I said, I did, God. I did forgive her. He said, well, if you forgave her, when you get on the phone and talk to her, why is it that you treat her like the situation happened all over again? And I'm like, God, but I did forgive her. He said, well, if you forgave her, why are those seeds still in your chin? And I looked down. I was like, oh my God. That's what those are for. Those are seeds of what I did in my life. The things I didn't forgive. So he was talking to me, and I was like, oh my God. And he told me, he looked at me and said, because you didn't forgive her, I didn't forgive you some of your sins. And I was like, oh my God. And he started telling me so many other things, and he ain't told me not one good thing yet. And at this point, I'm getting terrified because my mind is starting now going to a place where I'm imagining how hot this fire is going to be when this portal open. And so, I'm scared. I didn't know how to explain how terrified I was. Words can't describe. When you meet God face, words can't describe how terrifying it is to look your Creator face to face. Where there's nothing hid from Him. There's nothing. Your inner thoughts are revealed before Him. Your perception, how you feel, everything that you hosted in this body is presented before Him. And so, I got to a point where I didn't want to hear God no more. I was really turning my head because I was afraid that, it's already made his mind up. I was so afraid. And so I turned my head, and he would just constantly tell me everything that I didn't do right, or I should have did better. And at this point, I knew I was going to hell. I knew it. I was fully persuaded that this was it. So I turned my head, and I was like, I don't want to hear no more. But my mind, I'm just really trying to imagine how hot hell is going to be. I'm like, oh my God, Lord, I have no more chance. If I go down there, I can't come back. Like, Lord, please don't send me to hell. Please, like, God, please. I'm begging you. And I'm more terrified. I was more terrified than I can express. And so I turned my head, and at this point, I no longer wanted to hear what he had to say, because I knew at this point, I was going to hell. And I would have my head turned, and out of nowhere, there was this one feeling that would come over the interface of my soul. And I would turn my head, and it would go in slow motion, and the tears would fly from my face. And I looked at God, and I was looking at his judgment. What was going to be my judgment? And he looked at me, he said, face to face, you don't get a well done. You get a you barely made it. And he stepped back and said, come. And at this point, I was so confused. I'm like, oh my God. And on the left side of God, heaven would open up. So soft, with brilliant lights. The colors were undescribable. Like colors I've never seen before in my life. It was so pretty, so amazing. And the colors would blossom as they grow, and the heaven will open up so gentle. And I will walk toward that direction, and my hand would go in the portal. And when my hand went through, it got bigger. My arm went through, it got bigger. It was like I was growing into a mature state of a glorified body. And so my leg went through, like got bigger, and you can see how big I got on the other side. And how my soul was being transformed into a glorified body. And my body would go through it, and only piece that was left behind was my leg. And right before my last foot got in, I woke up. The dream scared me so bad. I was underneath our living room table for hours. I was so terrified. I was terrified to move. I was terrified to do anything because I was afraid it was going to be added to my judgment. I thought that was the judgment. That didn't feel like a dream. I could feel, I could taste, I could tell you how it made me feel. Everything was so alive in the dream. And at that moment, I was asking God, why did you give me this dream? He said, because I want you to warn my people that the things which you saw are the things that shall be. And I didn't realize that what I prayed for and the vow I made before God, that he was going to fulfill it. Now he's looking for my end to be fulfilled. So that's why I'm here talking to you right now. Forgive. Let go. I couldn't describe how many people that allow for unforgiveness to grow in them, and it caused a bitterness, which caused them to do things that they got judged for. That thing caused them not to make it to heaven. I was terrified. It was so many people went to hell. And it felt like I was the first one. Like God was, it was thousands among thousands of people in front of me. That is scary to me. So today I encourage you to get it right with God. Get it right with your fellow friends, your enemies, the church hurt that causes you to attack people in silence. Go get it right. Because hell is not worth it. God scared me so bad in this dream. But I knew it was for a reason. So today, choose love.